Hi guys, welcome to another video from Little to Simple. With almost everyone around the world agreeing that the COVID-19 pandemic will end only with the successful development of a vaccine, it is very normal to assume that the corporate interest in the COVID-19 vaccine development is entirely driven by the need for this vaccine. But is just the global need for a vaccine enough to motivate over 170 companies to develop a vaccine? This is an important question to ask, as this is the first time the world has seen such interest for profit from pharmaceutical companies to develop a vaccine. This video tries to answer this exact question. So let's try to find out the real reasons for why the pharmaceutical companies are so interested in developing a COVID-19 vaccine. But before we begin, please subscribe to our channel and feel free to like the video and share this with your friends. Now let's get started. How do companies decide about which vaccine to develop? The pharmaceutical companies decide about which vaccine to develop based on the following parameters: the need in the market for a vaccine, estimated cost of developing the vaccine, and the availability of any special funding options to compensate the development cost, estimated time it will take to develop the vaccine, estimated market demand by the time of completing the vaccine development, competition in the market from other companies. If all these factors for any particular vaccine are in favor of a company, then the company decides to develop that vaccine. Now let's try to analyze which of these factors have motivated over 170 pharmaceutical companies to develop the vaccine for COVID-19. The current need for a COVID-19 vaccine. It is currently a general consensus among all the healthcare experts globally that the COVID-19 pandemic can come to an end only by developing an effective vaccine against it. This argument is even backed by the World Health Organization, so there is definitely a global demand for COVID-19 vaccine. Estimated cost of developing the COVID-19 vaccine and the availability of any special funding options to compensate the development cost. The estimated cost of developing the COVID-19 vaccine is very high and is in hundreds of millions of dollars. And generally, the companies that are developing the vaccine have to bear this entire cost out of pocket, that too without expecting any returns on their investments for several years at least. But in case of the COVID-19 vaccine development, the governments and the charitable organizations around the world are providing billions of dollars in the form of vaccine development aid to companies, and these development aids are so big that they can probably cover the entire development cost of the COVID-19 vaccines in few cases. One best example of such a development aid is provided under Operation Warp Speed, initiated by the United States government. This type of financial aid for vaccine development reduces the financial risk on the pharmaceutical companies to almost zero. This reduced financial risk is in turn motivating so many companies to develop a vaccine for COVID-19. Estimated time it will take to develop the COVID-19 vaccine. Typically, developing a vaccine takes anywhere near to 5 to 10 years. And the companies that are developing a vaccine have to be prepared for blocking their capital and resources for such a long development period. But the long time required to develop a vaccine is more due to complex regulatory approval processes that have been put in place by the regulatory authorities such as FDA and less due to the resources or technical or talent limitations. In the case of COVID-19 vaccine, most of the government globally have relaxed the regulatory norms for approving the vaccine, and hence the companies can develop and launch a COVID-19 vaccine in less than a year. This can only mean excellent upside for the companies in terms of saved costs and resources. Hence, the interest from so many companies to develop the COVID-19 vaccine. Expected market demand by the time of completing the COVID-19 vaccine development. COVID-19 pandemic has affected almost every country in the world, and the nature of this disease is such that almost every living person on the planet will require vaccination. That means there is a demand for at least 7 billion doses of vaccine. But due to the fact that almost all COVID-19 vaccines that are currently in development require a minimum of 2 doses in order to provide complete protection from COVID-19 infection. This increases the estimated demand for the COVID-19 vaccines to 14 billion doses. Never in the history of humanity was any vaccine required at such quantities. This is mainly because of the fact that almost all the diseases that can be prevented by such a vaccine affect a particular group or type of population and hence don't require such huge volumes of the vaccine. For instance, polio vaccine is primarily given to children, and similarly, diphtheria vaccine is primarily given to newborn babies, whereas the COVID-19 vaccine can affect everyone, from a newborn baby to an old man in his deathbed. Hence, the exceptional and never before seen demand for COVID-19 vaccine exists. And obviously, every pharmaceutical company wants a piece of this cake, and so many companies are developing the COVID-19 vaccine. In fact, the United States has already pre-ordered billions of dollars worth of COVID-19 vaccines from multiple companies even before their COVID-19 vaccines are fully developed. Competition in the market from other companies. With over 170 companies trying to successfully develop a COVID-19 vaccine, there is definitely an extreme competition between the companies to capture as much market share as possible. But as we already discussed in this video about how there is a need for over 14 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccines in the world, there is enough opportunity for almost all the companies that are developing a COVID-19 vaccine to make money. And an interesting fact for the people who stayed with us this far into the video, even the most profitable vaccine candidates do not check all these boxes. And companies go ahead with the development even if the vaccine in question checks 60% of the boxes. But COVID-19 pandemic has provided a unique and one-of-a-kind opportunity for all the pharmaceutical companies. COVID-19 vaccine not only checks all the boxes of an ideal vaccine candidate for a pharmaceutical company to develop, but developing the COVID-19 vaccine also comes with a huge upside and very little to no downside for the pharmaceutical companies. Thus, the never-before-seen interest from the pharmaceutical companies to develop this vaccine. Hope we were able to clearly and conclusively explain why so many companies are interested in developing a COVID-19 vaccine, and how this interest from the pharmaceutical companies is driven primarily by the business potential of a successfully developed vaccine. As we always like to say, at the end, it's always about basic economics. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please let us know your views on this topic in the comments below. And if you found this video to be interesting, then please like, share and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. Until next time, stay safe and have a good one, guys.